live from my kitchen. What's going on? This is the camera. This is where I look. Sorry, I haven't filmed on my phone in a really long time and I'm confused where to look. But I really wanted to talk to you guys about what it's like raising a fierce woman. So I actually am raising two fierce women. My poor husband is kind of raising three fierce women because we've kind of grown up together. So we met really early 20s. We got married early 20s. And so we've kind of grown up together. We've spent the last, oh gosh, Liam is 15, so 16, 17 years together. So it's a long time. It's a really long time. And we have two beautiful daughters, and one of them is actually 10 today. She hit double digits. So this is her behind me. And I just was, I don't know, reflecting on, she is just such a fierce, beautiful woman. You'll see in the photo that I showed you. Here, let me see if I can find it over here. So this is one of my favorite pictures of her. You've seen it before. It is her fighting like a girl, right? Like she just came out. She just had this big personality when she was born, and she came out and she put on a pink mustache in this gorgeous little dress, came out and went up to Matt and was like, "Hey, you want to punch me? You want a piece of me? You want a piece of me?" And she was gonna punch him. Like, just, that's how she is. That's her personality, and it's beautiful. And just as like fierce as she is, like when she was little, she just, I don't know. So I think there's a few things in being like a fierce woman, being a powerful woman. I think it is standing up for those that no one else can stand up for. Like she is fiercely, passionately pro-life. My whole family, everyone's passionately pro-life. And I remember even my oldest son, the first time we did a pro-life march, I can't remember if it was Canada in Ottawa or San Diego, but my son was asking, like, what are those? There was protesters, like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, well, they don't love babies. And he was like, what do you mean they don't love babies? How can you not love babies? And was like so upset and scandalized by someone not loving babies and respecting life. And I know nowadays it's definitely with Roe v. Wade possibly getting overturned. It's a big hot topic that a lot of people are talking about. And I think that it is good for us to show how pro-life we are by loving those around us, loving those we work with, having conversations and be like, okay, let's talk. What does it mean to be pro-life? Like, what does it mean not to have abortion legally in the entire country? Like having those conversations. I remember when Kiara was really little, we were doing another pro-life march and we were explaining to her not everybody loves babies. She's like, yeah, well, if they don't love babies, I'll go punch them in the face. We're like, okay, calm down. She was like 2 or 3, right? But she had like this fierceness and she wanted to protect the innocent. So being a beautiful, valiant woman of God is wanting to protect the innocent. I have her headband on. Excuse my really awesome headband. It was one of her birthday presents. So I think she had that really young, right? And so I remember another time she was like probably 3 years old and we were at a playground and my older daughter had a balloon. And so Kiara was like 2 or 3, and then Avila was 4 or 5, and then there was another like 5-year-old-ish boy her age that went over, stole her balloon, and took off. And Avila just quietly, started crying, as most 5-year-olds do when their balloon gets stolen. But Kiara sees this happening, and she's like, and she marches over, and she runs over to that boy, and she points at him and goes, "You a bad boy. No." Took the balloon, Avila's balloon, no, and like marched off and gave it back to Avila and then turned and looked at him again. And like she was half his size or maybe even smaller than half his size. So she's pointing up like, "You a bad boy." And I love like that fierceness of like, I'm going to protect other people, whether they're older than me or younger than me. And she's always been like that. She still loves babies. So there's like a section over here. It may be behind the present bag, but there's a section of all the babies that she loves in her life. And these are just a few because this girl just loves babies with a fierce passion. Like, I don't even know whose baby that is. That's just how my daughter is. She's always been great and loves babies, and they equally love her. It's pretty amazing and remarkable and beautiful. But I think being a fierce woman is standing up for those that no one else is standing up for. And right now, babies is a huge part of it, right? I think it's not letting an injustice be done to someone else, like standing up, having a voice, which I know it's hard to do, especially like when we're adults and in the workplace and trying to be civil and nice. And it's like, we should be charitable. And I think that's the main thing, remembering to be charitable. I know over on our Among the Lilies Marco Polo group, we've been talking about that with just everything going on with Roe v. Wade and the abortion issue coming up, about whether it's going to be legal in all states or just certain states, you know, with the heartbeat bill passed. Like, so states like Texas and Louisiana, probably not so much, but California and New York, yeah, probably till after birth. We had friends visiting from California, and she was saying that now they've changed it. So even after the baby's been born, I don't remember how long, I want to say it was like 7 or 9 days, that if the baby ends up dead, there will be no questions asked. Like, a horrible, horrible thing. Like, murder is murder. Like, we need to stand up for these babies in the womb, let alone ones that have already been born. And what gets me about that is I'm like, we have had it for a very long time, my entire life, where if you can't handle your child, like maybe you weren't ready to be a parent. I get it. Being a parent is really hard, especially when you have colicky crying children. And maybe you're really young, maybe you're alone, but you can drop that baby off at a police station, a fire department, fire station, or hospital, and there's no questions asked. And they will take care of that child and help them find a home. So it just breaks my heart to hear that. But yeah, that's noisy. Shh. Sorry, I have a child that just came in the room. The middle of the kitchen probably wasn't the best spot for me to have this conversation with y'all. But I think also like knowing, to be a fierce woman, knowing knowing when to admit that we're wrong and admitting that we're sorry. I have another picture over here, which I think I also got in the screenshot one. Sorry for making y'all dizzy. So this is Kiara's very first confession. So I think she was maybe 5 when that happened. You think, Avila? Probably 5. I think she was right around 5. I'm gonna come sit in the other room and not keep moving.
Did you tell her to pray for Kiara on her birthday?
No, but I will. All of you, Avila is requesting that you pray for Kiara on her birthday today. So please pray for her. She is 10 today. So yes, would love, 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 love your prayers. Okay, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, admitting when we're wrong. So I definitely struggle with pride and admitting when I've done something wrong, especially when I've like doubled down on it. And I'm like, I don't know, I get really hard headed and I'm like, yeah, well, if you didn't do this, and it's like, just say you're sorry. Just admit that you're wrong, Cameron. And I'm like, oh yeah, I just need to admit that I'm wrong. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. So first confession, I think Liam had already made his, so he was older. So maybe Avila was like 6 or 7. I think Avila was 7, 6, 5. So Kiara was 5, and we were going to a Byzantine liturgy at that time, and the priest asked, you know, if the girls were ready, and just whenever they were, they can come to confession. And ooh, sorry, I really need somewhere to stick this, so I'm not trying to hold it the whole time. But do you like that? My house is falling apart, but that's okay. And so Avila looked at Kiara and said, I'll go if you go first. And Kiara was like, yeah, I'll go. And so she marched to the front of the church, sat down by Father. And in the Byzantine, you actually look at a life-size icon of Jesus as you give your confession. And it was so beautiful to be in the back of the room and watching that. And I've given multiple women's talks. So if you've been at one of my women's talks, you've probably already heard me share about this, but I want to share with the rest of you because it's really beautiful. So I'm standing at the back of the church, and that's the picture. And I'm looking at this priest leaning down and hearing my daughter's confession, but really, like, it could be you, it could be me. And I think when we go to confession, we think Jesus is like, oh, seriously, again? Weren't you just here? Fine, I guess I'll forgive you again because I'm so merciful and loving, but you really need to stop messing up so much. And you were like so gross and disgusting. And that's not what Jesus sees. Like, God's so happy and rejoices when we go to confession, and he's so proud. And he's like, yeah, come on, my sweet little girl. So you may be a 60-year-old woman who has murdered multiple people. Like, maybe you've had a bunch of abortions. Maybe you didn't know better, or maybe you did know better, but you're like, this is easier than taking care of these kids. Jesus still sees you as his sweet little girl. And he's standing there saying, please come. And you are Kiara in that photo. You are this sweet, tiny little girl with these blonde ringlet curls and a bright pink bow popped on your head. And he rejoices, and he's so thankful that you're there. So if you haven't been to confession in a really long time, go. Okay, being a fierce, radiant woman or trying to raise one, for those of you that are parents. So it's living a life for the Lord, knowing, loving, and serving the Lord. So we've raised our kids from very young to know, love, and serve the Lord and know what is true, good, and beautiful. And my daughters get it. And from a very young age, I remember even Kiara, when she was a baby, Evelyn wanted to give her a baby doll. And I was like, she's not going to know what to do with it. Like, she's a baby herself. I want to say she was like, I don't know, 4 months old, 3 months old. And we were in Target, and they used to have these tiny little baby dolls. And so she could actually hold it. And so Evelyn gave it to her, and I had her in the carrier. And we walked around the store. She did not let go of that baby. She loved that baby. And Evelyn was like, I told you she loves babies. I'm like, all right, I will buy her the baby doll. Well, eventually she had a whole crib full of baby dolls, like probably like 10 baby dolls that she wanted all of them. And she kissed them all goodnight and was just so affectionate. So it's loving others, loving innocence in life, admitting when we are wrong, standing up for those that no one else can stand up for. Um, and it's admitting when we're wrong and going to confession, seeking for forgiveness. And I think sometimes in our stubbornness, especially, like, I'm very choleric, and we joke that my daughter is like the new and improved me because she's very choleric. And so from the time she was probably 18 months to about 4 years old, almost every day I'd have to ask her, Kiara, who's the boss? She's like, Jesus. Kiara, who's the boss? Daddy. Kiara, who's the boss? Not you. I'm like, Kiara, come on. I love you, kid. Who's the boss? And she's like, Mama Mary. She went through everyone before she got to me. Fine, you the boss. You the boss. And she'd be so angry. And she just has like more of a fiery personality. But I love that she's been formed to know who the boss really is. And she's always known Jesus and Daddy, but she's learned in more recent years. Not really. She probably learned by the time she was 4 that mommy was also the boss. Um, but she just has such a heart for other people. So whenever we're at mass, actually I had someone write to me recently saying that she kind of needs a mom helper. She's like, I can't help but notice your girls at mass. They are so good. And they're always with other babies. Like, we joke that we have a rotating door at our pew, and there's always different babies. And even the priest is like, Cameron, which baby did you have today? Because we'll have upwards of 3 or 4 babies from different families that we just take and sit with us. And my girls are very, very good with them, even like really tiny ones. And so this random woman wrote to me and was like, I would love to see if I could get your daughters to help me one day a week. And I'm like, my kids would love that because they love doing that. They just have such a giving. Oh my goodness, I dropped the phone. Sorry. Hopefully it's still recording. They just have such a loving, giving heart. Okay, so what was I saying? Okay, so raising a fierce woman. So letting them know who the boss is, letting them know where their worth comes from, right? So my girls know that they're beautiful. They know that they are loved. And they mainly know it, not just because we tell them it all the time, but they know it, I think, from Daddy mainly. And from me too. They know that I love them, but they know that Daddy loves them in such a fierce way. And they are the most beautiful people in the world. And he loves them with all their heart, and he would do anything for them. He would kill anyone for them. Which, I don't know if you should promote violence, but I think knowing that, like, yes, like having that, I don't know, I think so many of us going into teenage years, like not knowing the Father's love and looking for love in the wrong places. I'm still not quite to teenagehood. My other daughter will be turning 13 this summer, but I think that my girls will do very well through teenagerhood because at 12 and 10, they know their worth and their dignity, and they dress modestly. They talk in a beautiful way. They are just so helpful and just love kids, right? Love babies. And yeah, I'm trying to remember what else I wanted to tell y'all about being a fierce woman. Um, yeah, I think in your moments, if you're raising a very fierce woman and she is very hard-headed or choleric, um, strong-willed. I remember reading how to, oh, what was it? It was something about raising the strong-willed child, like bending the will but not breaking it. I think that when I was raised, it was do it because I said so. I'm not telling you why. And same with being Catholic. Like, you're Catholic because we said so. And you have to believe everything the church teaches. And then if you ask, like, well, what does you should just know. And it's like, wait, no, wait, I have questions. Like, and so having open conversations with your children, and when you mess up, telling them, hey, I'm really sorry I messed up, I shouldn't have done that, I shouldn't have snapped at you. I did something the other day. I was trying to do something on the computer. I think I was trying to pay taxes or something, and Kiara was trying to tell me a story, and she just kept talking and talking, and I was like, I'm sorry, I don't have time for this right now, I'm busy doing something else. And I just was really short. I don't even remember exactly what I said, but it was something like that. It was an annoyed tone. And it was like, what I'm doing is more important than hearing your story right now. And she left. And I don't think it scarred her, but it could have. So when I was done, I like calmed down. I got what I needed done. And I was just stressed because I didn't know what I was doing. So I went and I found her and I apologized. I said, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. You were way more important than what I was doing on the computer, but I should have given you the attention um, that you were asking for at that moment. So now I would love to hear your story. Tell me. Yeah. And I think as parents, like, I was raised in a way that, and I think it's a generational thing where it's like, do this because I said so. Where now I think there's more, I don't know, more relational. Like we focus on the relationship with the child. And I think that's part of one of the things why I love homeschooling my kids, is because I have that opportunity. Like I have another child who's homesick today. So if you want to say a prayer for Avila, that'd be great. So we've done zero schoolwork. Well, no, we listened to a little bit of the Saint Therese of Lisieux, her diary they're doing on the story of a soul. I think that's what it's called on Hallow app. So if you're not doing that, I recommend it. Avril and I are doing it, kind of for school, kind of for fun. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to give encouragement and tell you to persevere. And I think also in today's culture, like raising our children to know that there is truth. So our world's very confused, and we say what's true for one person is true for them, but it's something different for us. And letting our girls especially know that they're beautiful daughters of God the Father. and and what's funny is like sometimes they're really rough and tumble and they'll be, doing flips and playing tag and whatever. And then other times they're sitting and chatting on the swing. Like, it's not you have to wear a dress and sit and have tea parties. You're not allowed to do anything else. It's like, no, you're made as a beautiful woman and you do have certain gifts, especially one day, like bearing life. I remember when Kiara and Avila were little, Matt would ask them, whose belly's more special, mine or yours? Like, mine, because you just have a hairy belly button and I have a womb. And so, yeah, just teaching your kids. So, those of you that have littles, please, please, please speak truth to them. And I think we live in a day where it's like, well, you mean tell them to bully other people. It's like, no, no, no. I mean, speak truth to them, have conversations with them, tell them the way things are in the world and what is true, what is good, what is beautiful, and raise them in a way that you protect them from some of those things in the world. So, like, if you have an elementary school teacher who goes by different pronouns now and they're dressing differently than they did last year, and they're so proud of themselves for coming out, protect your child from that. Get your child out of that school. Like if that's a situation you are in, that is not okay. Like it's confusing for an older kid, like a 13 or 15-year-old to be like, "Wait, what?" Let alone elementary kids, right? So we need to speak truth. We need to be loving and kind. We need to stand up for those that don't have people to stand up for them. We need to be charitable. So yeah, I would love your prayers for my fierce little girl today on her 10th birthday. And I just want to encourage you and your beautiful little people, if you have them yet. If not, then okay, take notes for when you have children one day. I have a friend that knew Avila when she was a baby. She did net ministries. And so we haven't seen her in years and years and years, but she just had a girl and named her Avila, and just said like I really, and Matt and I are not perfect parents at all. We really really mess up. You just need to meet one of our children and they will happily tell you how much we mess up. But they named their little girl Avila, and just she kind of fell in love with my daughter, and it's like I loved everything about her and I want my child to be like her. And she loves Saint Teresa of Avila, obviously, who my Avila is named after. And I love that. Finding, if you are new and just have one or two little ones, find a couple that's like that next stage ahead. Like maybe they have teenagers or maybe they have kids. I know I really value advice from friends of ours that have high schoolers or college kids because we're not quite there. We're almost there, but we're not quite there. And yeah, just pick their brains and mainly let your kids know how wonderful you think they are, how much you love them, how you would do anything for them. And when they do something really good and beautiful, affirm them and keep showing them what is true, good, and beautiful, especially when we live in a world that's not showing them that. So, God bless until we talk again. Bye bye.